All right, and we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another Friday night interview. With me, I have Nita. How's it going?
Going.
All right. Hopefully you had a good. I don't know what you actually work as, but hopefully you had a good week. Um, I do want to ask you, just like I ask everybody, where do you live? At what age are you currently?
I'm in the Midwest, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm 35.
35. And when did this all start for you? Because just like you said off camera, you first had body odor, but then it sort of then got worse and transferred. I don't know if it transferred, but there's also became like
Might as well say it
halitosis.
transferred, yeah. And we might as well say it transferred at this point. Yeah. It started around 25. Started
Hmm.
25. I worked in a call center, and that's when I started to get the reactions. Sorry.
So that's when you started getting the reactions. So can you recall like the very first memory you had where someone said something about it or made mention?
Yeah. Um, it was at work. Um, I just kept having people make little comments, and then I would like go to the bathroom stall at work because it was always around me. So I'd go around the bathroom stall at work and check myself and be like, okay, well, I smell my lotion that I have on. I smell my deodorant. I smell my laundry detergent on my clothes. So it's not me. But then I will never forget. I was on my cycle. I had my period, and one of my friends, my work friends, walked up to me, like my work best friend, and she walked up to me. You know how first you're greeting someone and you're like, hey, and like her face just kind of like fell, and she was just like, and then I was like, what's wrong? And she was like, nothing. And then that whole day I was just getting like reactions, and I was like,
Mm.
I must be having like a bad period or something, and I just thought it was gonna be over after that. It wasn't.
So you did actually get some type of reaction when you opened you did have like I guess halitosis early on.
No, it
Um,
was a reaction to my body odor because she was still far away. She was still far.
mm,
No, I'm not sorry, but she was still
okay.
far. Yeah, she was still like far away, like maybe 5, 6 feet away, and I was like, you know, and she was reacting to the smell, not necessarily my breath.
And when you say reaction, you just mean like someone just rubbing their nose or holding their nose or they'll say
Uh,
something stinks or
yeah, people were like it stank, or just like rubbing their nose, coughing, um, or just flat out saying it stinks.
mm. You did have a lot of friends within the call center. Do you feel that I actually want to ask, like, do you still stay in that call center? Do you still work at that call center?
No, no, but
No.
me really fearful to work in office settings after that because it was like every day. And that's when I like really started to get depressed because it was like when I was at work, it was just nothing but comments. Like, yeah, it was just terrible. Or you constantly would smell like sprays, like Victoria's Secret sprays, Bath and Body Works sprays, constantly. Like
Mhm.
it was like suffocating. Like now I'm bothered by the smell of the spray because it was so strong.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that when we had to just an email back and forth, you said you took like some antibiotics before then, and that's when it started to get worse. What was the antibiotics for?
I actually had a infection. I had a vaginal infection, and then
Mm.
also had like I would say tonsillitis, but that wasn't it. I was like sick, and I went to the doctor because I needed a doctor's excuse for work, and they just wrote me a prescription for amoxicillin, and I took both of them. It was like I used both antibiotics because I thought I had to, and it must have done something to my gut because nothing's ever been the same. And
Wow.
then that I started to notice, like, with food, like, I used to love Subway, but whenever I'd eat Subway, I would get, horrible cramps in my stomach. I feel like I had to have a bowel movement, or like pass gas, but then nothing would come.
Mm.
That would happen like every time I eat Subway. So then I linked it to the bread. Maybe it's the bread, the gluten, whatever. So then I started having to cut out bread and stuff because it would happen every time. Like I used to not be able to eat pizza or anything like that. That doesn't happen anymore, but I also don't eat it that much anymore. So I don't know if, you know, I don't know if it's just because I cut down on it that I'm able to tolerate it a little more as far as stomach issues.
Mm. So within the call center, I'm pretty sure you had some friends that you talked to or just ate lunch regularly. Have they ever confessed or at least been honest with you, open about having an odor problem or whatever?
I had one friend that was honest. And I used to have a lot of friends. I was like a social butterfly. I had a lot of friends in work, inside of work, outside of work, going to the club. That's the age where you're going to the club. I had a lot of friends at one point. I was like a social butterfly. I was a socialite. But yeah, I had one friend at work, and she would like straight up tell me, and I'm like, "What does it smell like?" Because I couldn't smell it. I couldn't smell my odor. Now I kind of can detect the odor, but it's not what I smell like. I think I told you, when we were talking, that it smells like clay to me, you know. But people act like it's the worst smell in the world, so obviously it doesn't smell like clay to other people. So
Mm.
be able to detect it, the true smell, because it doesn't stink that bad to me.
Yeah, and it's funny. Well, it's not really funny, but yeah, throughout having a lot of these conversations with people, that is like maybe in the top five of how the odor all started by taking some type of antibiotics. I've heard stories about people, women getting pregnant, and then they have started getting halitosis, or they would already have like some type of gut issues early on. So yeah, that would actually be in the top five. I don't know in what particular order. But yeah, that is fairly interesting. And I wanted to ask you, since you went to that doctor and you felt like that was probably contributed to your issue, did you ever go back to the doctor and ask or say, hey, I taking these antibiotics, and now I got this weird odor problem, but I can't smell it, but people are reacting to me and they saying I smell bad? Have you ever revisited those doctors that gave you those antibiotics?
Yeah, the one doctor. So I needed a work excuse, so I went to like just an urgent care for when I was sick, like when I had um whatever it was. I had like head, cold, throat, whatever it was, It was one of those things where it's like it was going through my college at the time, so everyone was sick. So whatever that was just an urgent care visit. So I went back to my OBGYN and was like, "Hey, people are complaining about this odor. I don't have any like symptoms anymore of like an infection, but can you check me?" And she checked me and tested me. I had no signs of infection, no yeast infection, no urinary tract infection, no bacterial vaginosis. I had no STDs, so I was free and clear. So yeah, that's started everything, and then after that, I just kept coming back because I kept getting these comments, I kept getting reactions. So I'm like, and that's where my odor comes from. It's like vaginal odor, and that's that's where I just kept going back and back to the OBGYN. So I'm like, something has gotten wrong.
And I have talked to a number of women who have like this odor condition. It says, and some women say that it gets worse during their cycle. Is that the same with you? Do you feel?
It's like
Mm.
I don't go to the store. Like I take that week off. I'm at home. I don't go to the store unless I absolutely have to, because it's just I can't wait in line. Too it's just too much.
Mm.
And I know you mentioned earlier, people saying women saying when they got pregnant, like my TMAU, whatever this is, my odor issue, it was transient. So it would be when I was on my period, and it would be every now and then when I wasn't on my period, and usually I was kind of able to link it to either drinking a lot or eating badly. That's when it would like act up. But then I
Mm.
would diet together. Sometimes I would do like a sea salt flush, where you pretty much, do like tolling cleanse, and I could get it back on track to where I wasn't getting reactions off of my cycle. But on my cycle, it's just always been reactions, like really bad. But when I got pregnant, like once I got pregnant and then I gave birth, it's no longer transient. It's all day, every day. It's an everyday thing. On my period or off my period, it's just I get reactions all the time now. My daughter is 2.
That's interesting. So I do want to ask you. I don't know if that's like your husband or your boyfriend, but was he able to ever detect your odor?
Um, Before my daughter on my period, he'd be like, "What is that smell?" And I would just come out and just tell him like, "Hey, this is what I've been dealing with. This acts up when I'm on my period," and like he just went, "Oh, okay, well, as long as there's nothing wrong with you, you know what I'm saying? Like, say you're fine then, okay?" Because it's like he knew me, like he knows me, so he knew it wasn't a hygiene issue.
Right.
So he just kind of was just like left it alone, never really spoke about it again.
Well, have you ever tried to like use him as some type of way to determine how bad you smell, or at least ask him how what does it smell like? Because that's like one of the biggest things I'm always curious about. Like, what do I smell like? And you
Right.
having your boyfriend or your partner to tell you, hey, you smell like this, that, the third, or you smell better, blah blah blah. Have you ever used him as some type of aid to determine
No,
how?
because no, because honestly, I still want to be sexy to him, so I don't even want to bring it up, you know.
Mm,
And if he still acts like I'm sexy, I'm gonna act like I'm sexy too. So no, I never said anything to. I never used him as a gauge, but I've used a few friends as a gauge. But besides that one coworker that I had that was honest with me, no one else was honest with me. Like even up to yesterday, I had tons of reactions at the store, and then I went to see one of my friends, and you know. I mentioned how we were doing this interview today. And she was like, in the 20 years that I've known you, I've never smelled anything. And I'm like, but I know that when I come to your house, there's all of a sudden incense going, there's windows opening during the wintertime. We're in the Midwest, so, but there's one of those things where you're like, am I tripping? But then you're like, no, I can't be tripping.
right. Yeah. Because that happens to me sometimes too. You never know. This is another thing about this condition. You always have this paranoia, so you always look for the little things that make you feel like they're doing this because I'm here, or because they knew I was going to be here, or something like that. But
Like they're
uh,
prepared to.
yes, like they're prepared.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to what you were saying about the call center. So, are you still at that job?
No. No. I was there for 6 years though. And then we got laid off, and then I started working in another office, and then since the pandemic, we've been at home. So I'm like, I cannot, under any circumstances, go back into an office. Like I have to work from home because I just have such fear of working in the office again and having to deal with that every single day because I really got to a like very low point in depression, like very extremely depressed.
Mm. Do you feel that this odor is diet related, or at least it reduces you can reduce it through diet?
I was before I got pregnant. I had
Mm.
control of it before I got pregnant, but something's changed. Maybe it's like a hormonal shift in my body. But ever since I got pregnant, it's not been the same. It's like sometimes I feel like I can have control of it with my diet, and then sometimes it feels like it makes no difference.
Mm. Now, with diet, what do you feel are the things that really agitate your odor or worsen it?
Chocolate, um,
Chocolate?
yeah, chocolate, sweet
Mm.
of any kind, bakery, sweets like that, soda, anything with like a lot of sugar in it, and
Sugar.
chocolate and alcohol.
What about dairy or meat? Do you feel that contributes or worsens your odor either? I mean,
Um, I feel like it could, but not as much as when I eat like sugar or drink everything. So wine, oh my God, no.
mm. So you had this condition for about 10 years. How many doctors have you seen within this time period?
Probably like 5 before like just giving up. At this
Yeah.
point, I don't even go anymore. I go for my, regular scheduled, checkups, but I don't even go. But when I do go, I'm like, can you test me for this? Can you test me for that? I have them test me and just make sure I don't have any type of infections. And it's always negative.
Mm. And what type of specialist? Because I know you said you went to like I forgot what the specialist for a gynecologist. You went to a gynecologist for it,
Pretty
and
much went to my OBGYN and my primary doctor.
mm,
And I mean, sometimes, with OBGYNs, they're not always available because they deliver babies. So sometimes
right.
if you try to schedule an appointment, they're like, well, she's not going to be available. She has another appointment, or she's on a delivery right now. Do you want to schedule with a different OBGYN that's available? And I was like, yeah. And, they'll, I've literally been in the OBGYN, like on the table, in the stirrups. And I've literally had a doctor tell me, like, she's this far away from my vagina, and she's like, I don't smell anything. I don't smell anything. And then they get frustrated with you. Like you kind of sense their frustration. So then you really think you're tripping, like, okay, they're like low key, like irritated. So I must not smell. Then you get on the elevator, leave, and then everyone in the elevator is acting like they're about to die. So you're just like,
What
okay,
is what is your theory behind that?
I don't even know. I don't. That trips me out more than just like friends and family. When the
Hmm.
doctor's like, like she seems irritated. I think maybe they just don't know what to do. Like they take their test, they know that it's not an infection. Um, so sometimes I just feel like they're like in their head, they're like, maybe they do think it's a hygiene thing. Maybe they think that it's a sex partner thing. Maybe they think that you're sleeping around and you know
So
that's what's
have they ever suggested that? They said, oh, maybe you should just wash more
no.
because you were complaining about.
No, they never said anything about like hygiene, but I remember I was, telling them like my odor gets so much worse on my period, and I had a doctor say like, okay, well, that is normal to have for blood to have a smell. You just want to change you change yourself a little more often, and you want to maybe you should use tampons. Maybe that will help decrease the odor. And I was just like felt like just so I was just like, I'm not a little girl, okay?
Right.
I know how to take care of myself when I have my cycle, okay? I know that blood can have like, I'm not a little child that you have to, I'm not 12 and you need to explain this to me. Obviously, it's not something that's normal, and that's what they weren't, it just seemed like they weren't taking that into account. So I just felt so defeated after that. Like, never mind. You're not understanding what I'm trying to tell you. This is beyond just, you know, a regular blood smell. This is
Mm.
that because, that's controllable through hygiene and, taking care of yourself. But this is something else.
Now, I wanted to ask you, have you ever got tested for TMAO or are you planning to?
No, I never got tested. I just, I've been watching these interviews for the past few years, and it just seems like people that do get tested, they always come back negative. So I was just like, what's the point? You know? And
Right.
honestly, I feel like it might not even be TMAO that most of us are dealing with. I feel like a lot of us have gut issues, and
Hmm.
it's something with the gut, and no one has truly figured it out yet.
Yeah, I also have that theory too. I think it's gut and hormones, honestly, because
Yes.
I've also spoken to a number of different people, like going back to like the pregnancy thing. And also, I noticed that for some people, like once they start, they going through puberty, that's when it starts kicking off, or something like that, just triggers.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I don't even know what type of doctor to go to even look into that. Um, but let's continue with the story. So you you got the your first type of I guess reactions were at the call center. Your friend at least notified you that you did smell. Eventually, you got laid off, and then you go into another job. But now you're working because of the COVID. Wait, but but that happened in 25, so that was 10 years ago. So you worked there even when you had this body odor, you were still working there for like 6 years.
Yeah, because when I first started there, I didn't have the body odor. And then
Hmm.
it was during that time working there that I did. So it was like I was already in the thick of it. I had to pay my bills, so I kept working there and then got laid off after 6 years. And then eventually, like a year later, I started working for another office in
Okay.
another.
And they allow you to work. They allow you to work remotely full time.
Yeah, ever since the pandemic started. Yeah.
Are they ever? Because I know with some type of jobs, they say, okay, after a pandemic ends, you guys got to go back to working in the office. But I guess within your particular situation, like as a call center, um, I guess like a customer rep, you don't really have to do anything like that. I guess it's cheaper or more affordable just to let everybody stay in their
Yeah.
home.
And they actually sold our office space, so we don't have an office to go back to. I mean, they could always release a new one, but so far they haven't spoke about that. And I'm not in the call center anymore, like this job I've been at. Now I've been at my job for 6 years. So that first job was 6 years. Now I've been at my current job for 6 years. So it no no plans of going back yet. Hopefully ever.
What is your current? What do you currently work as?
I'm a work coordinator for more.
Mm, I have no idea what that does, but
To do appraisals on mortgages when you like buy a house.
oh, okay. Does it pay well?
Yeah.
Because another thing I do know with people who have this condition is they're always trying to find something remote or something online.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to ask if you feel that for people who are trying to find something or who are already doing some type of remote thing, but they're not making that much money, is that an easy job to transition into? Do you need some background or something, I don't know, some prerequisite before you can even get into it?
Yeah, they want you to have a background in the mortgage industry, kind of understand, there's Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and such like that. But with most jobs, you can be trained to do almost any job, you know? Like a
Yeah.
lot of these are like, you need to have a degree, but I feel like you could be trained to do my job, even with no background in the mortgage industry. If you are trained well enough and you like work hard enough to like learn and retain information, you can do it. But companies they want you to have this much experience and such.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something with me. Shit, I was definitely trying to get like a software developer job for years, and already knew how to do it, but I didn't have the experience, so no one would take me seriously. But so I definitely understand that. But I want to say, so now currently you are just, yeah, working remotely. You have your child, you still have your partner with you, and I guess what is your next step? I mean, are you just going to be isolated forever, or is there some type of plan that you have in your head of what you're going to try to uncover what's happening, or because you said you just give up on just doctors because they
yeah.
just weren't helpful.
For one, it was getting way too expensive to keep going to the doctor. Insurance only covers so much. So it was getting way too expensive for nothing to be happening and no one to be trying to do any tests or take it seriously or do anything else. Just like, you're fine and I don't know what else to say. So I've just been working on cooking more, eating better. I drink a lot of kombucha now. That does seem to help a little bit. I ran out the other day. I ran out earlier this week, and it seems like the reactions are up. So it might help. It might actually help. I buy store bought kombucha from Whole Foods, so I
Mm,
don't own. I'm too lazy to do that. But no, I just, I'm like, I'm a mother. My daughter deserves to be able to enjoy her life. So I recently enrolled her in gymnastics, and that
okay.
involved me, she's only 2, so I have to like the instructor shows them how to do a movement, then you help them do the movement. So I have to be in this group of like 6 other, little families, like a mom and dad, or a mom or a dad, and their kid, And being around kids is really nerve-wracking too, because kids will like tell you,
Yeah,
kids will be
they're
like,
gonna be upfront.
"Hey,"
They're gonna be more upfront. Yeah.
yeah, they're like, this smells like dirty socks in here. They said that like the first day, and I'm like, but I just tell myself I just have to ignore it. I just have to do it, and yeah, now she goes for about 2 hours a week, like, throughout the week, a total of 2 hours. So yeah, I just suck it up and I just do it for her.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's really hard to actually, because I do know that there are a couple of people who have kids and have this weird condition, and they want to still support their kids or go to a football game or some type of basketball game, but at the same time, being around so many different people is gonna, deter them from actually showing up. But now you have to, not only you have to be there, you have to be hands on and do like cartwheel flips or stretches or whatever with your
yeah.
kid. Um, and I guess that's uh, is that like the only activity you do when you have to go out in public? Like maybe because you said that you don't really go out to the grocery. Do you go to? Did you say you don't go to the grocery store anymore?
I do go to the grocery store, but I don't go the week of my period. Or I try not to.
Mm-hmm.
So if I absolutely have to, I hate going to the grocery store because I hate waiting in line. Like I usually try to beeline it, like go as fast as possible. I usually try to go to self checkout, and I'll go a few times a week just so I don't have that much stuff, so I can just go to self checkout and just check out as fast as possible. Because I hate standing in the line. Um, but yeah, I used to be a social. I used to be a social butterfly. But I really it's just sometimes it's not worth it to go hang out with friends or go out and have the reactions, because you're like, okay, I need to go out and have fun. But then you actually go out and you're like, I'm not having fun.
Right.
So you're like, is it even worth it? So
Yeah. Yeah. With me, like I feel that I definitely feel that, but at the same time, like I guess I'm at the point in my life where I feel like just wasting my life away, just standing, just staying within my apartment. So I always try to get outside. And when you were talking about going to the grocery store, it reminds me the fact that with having this condition, there's a lot of things that changed within my life. For example, I always wake up early so I can go to the grocery store early
mm,
because I know there's going to be less people. What has changed in your life? Like the things that you don't, I guess the average person doesn't do that you do now because of this odor condition. The way you move differently in terms of just going, if you have to go out in public,
mm.
what do you do differently now?
It's the simplest things. Like I'm actually moving now. I'm sitting in my new place now. I'll be moving this weekend. Just got the keys today. But I was staying in an apartment building. That was my first time ever living in like an apartment building. It was a four family. Before that, I always lived in like a duplex or a townhome. And yeah, I got like people were always spraying the hallway. Like it would be super strong to where it was coming in my apartment. And I'm like, do you mean to tell me that my smell is going into other people's apartments? You know?
Mm,
Like so I would never, like, I had my own private entrance through the back. So I had the front door we could go out through the hallway, and then I had the back door that was private entrance that just goes right outside. So I would only use the private entrance door, and I would walk all the way around to my car instead of going the shorter way.
yeah.
But I don't run into my neighbors. If
Mm,
my mailbox, I always like listen to see if anyone's like coming. And then like with my door, it was right by the hallway. So to help my mental sanity, if I could hear someone was like coming down the steps or they're in the hallway, um, I would just like walk out of the living room so that I couldn't hear what they were actually saying. Because I'm like, if I hear people like saying like, "Oh, it stinks," that's gonna like I won't be able to like function. Like it's gonna take too much of a toll on me to hear that every single day. In my home where you should feel like safe, you should feel like it's your sanctuary. So I'll go out on my way that if someone was in the hallway or coming out of their apartment or whatever, I would just like run out of the living room real quick until they left because I didn't want to hear any reactions.
have you heard people say it stinks while you were close to the apartment or I don't know, close to the doorway or anything like that?
No, because I always left. Like once I started to realize that people were like spraying super, super duper like strong sprays that like I'm in my apartment, I'm like like it's so strong. I'm like, I was horrified. Like, you cannot tell me that first of all, that my odor is going into other people's apartment. Like, that's beyond, like, that's mortifying. And then secondly, you cannot tell me it's that strong where they need to spray that much. Like, it's truly horrifying. So, I mean, I don't know because I don't listen to anyone say anything. So I don't know, but I assume,
Hmm.
and then, it's been wintertime here. So, some of my neighbors will have like their windows closed, and that would really make me feel horrible. Like, you cannot tell me that my smell is going into other people's apartments and they literally have their window cracked so that they can air out their house. Like, that may not be the case, but I mean, why else would people have their windows cracked in the wintertime?
I don't know.
That's
Um,
paranoia, but it could be true. So I don't know, but I really took it on for myself, and I feel horrible. It made me not even because I'm like, I can't deal with this every time. But what if my new neighbors hate me? But I'm like, I deserve happiness. I deserve to have a place to live, and that's the same thing I told I actually commented on the video with I believe her name was Samaya. She was staying in the shelter.
yeah.
And I was like, you know what, we deserve to have a comfortable, decent place to live. Just because we have this odor doesn't mean that we don't. So I feel like I'm taking a risk by moving. I'm in a duplex now. So I just pray to God that my odor doesn't affect my neighbors.
I want to comment back to that what you said about people just spraying air fresheners. Are they spraying it like at your door or just within the hallways?
Like within the hallways. But it's to the
Right.
point where it would come into like my house. Like, it's so
Mhm.
strong that like I'd be in my living room and I'd like coughing because it's so strong,
Sure.
it's so heavy. And I'm like, I don't even think it was air fresheners. I feel like it's like odor bombs or something like that. Like, it's like, or carpet powder. I don't know. It's just like a really strong, like a very strong air freshener, not like an aerosol can, you
Mm.
know? It's like, I feel like there is something else. And at one point, someone had a fan going in the hallway, and I associated that to myself. Again, I don't know if it was really because of me, but what else could it be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because what you're saying is it reminds me of a lot of things I sort of do. Like if something's just weird, I don't know, if someone rubs their nose, someone coughs or does some sniffling, I naturally assume they're doing it because of me. But at the same time, it's sort of dangerous to always assume, not dangerous, but sort of bad to
Mentally,
always assume that it's your fault or it's not some other logical reason why it's happening.
yeah.
Because then you start to overestimate how bad you smell, even though you might not smell that bad at all. You were talking about how your odor was like transient at a certain moment, but now, well, after you got pregnant, now it's 100% on. But at the same time, you can't detect it anymore, or if you were ever able to detect it, so maybe it is still transient and you don't know about it. And that's the thing that I always think to myself, like maybe I don't know, maybe it's not. Some days it's bad, some days it's not, but you never know, right? And that's the
Yeah.
thing that's really frustrating about it. But luckily with you, you do have your part. I mean, if I had a partner, I would always bother that person. Oh, do I smell bad? You know, how bad do I smell? Rated from 1 out of 10. But I guess you have your own reasons not to do it. So you move it. So you already got the keys, and you're going to a duplex. Um, are you moving? Because well, I'll just ask that. Are you moving because is there any reason that you're moving because of the odor issue, or because you have I don't know, maybe you feel that you wouldn't have to be around too many people. I don't know. I don't even know what a duplex. I have never been around a duplex, so I don't know if there's like a different what the differences is between just a regular apartment and just a
Um,
duplex.
a duplex is upstairs, the upstairs unit and then the downstairs unit, and you guys usually share a hallway. There are some duplexes where it's like private entrance where two doors, and then you both go into your own separate door, but it's an upstairs unit and then a downstairs unit. You guys usually share a hallway, usually share a basement.
Interesting. Okay,
Um,
so was that like your these older condition like a motivator to try to get a duplex as opposed to another apartment unit?
Partly. I mean, I hated the apartment I was at. I was under a slumlord, so I had to get out of it anyways. But it was also like I had too many neighbors, and then I really wanted to get into a townhome because with the townhome, at least here, um it's private entrances, like front door, back door is private. You don't have to share an entrance at all with anyone. And then you don't have to share a basement. It's pretty much like the house is split in half. So you have your own upstairs, downstairs, basement. Everyone has their own. It's one building, but your units are like separated by, a wall, like a thick thick slab of concrete. So I felt like since it would be no shared spaces, then there would be nowhere for my odor to go. You know,
Mm,
I really wanted to get into a townhome, but it just didn't work out like that. Um, and then I just with the apartment, you just have so many neighbors. Do like you come out of your apartment, walk in the hallway, someone else might be coming in or out of their apartment. So I didn't want to deal with that.
mm. It must have been really tough to actually go to those like meetings just to just shop around or try to find a new unit or trying to find a duplex. Or did your partner just do that? Like, do you when you have to do like go to like important things like shop around for a duplex or a car or something like that? Do you go with your partner or do you just
When
do?
it comes to like handling my business, when I have to take care of things, I'll handle my business. I just literally will suck it up, and just do it because it's like I have to take care of it. I have to. This is something I have to do. So I don't even put much thought into it. I don't let it stop me. I think at first I did, like when the first few years of dealing with this, but after that, it's like I have things to do. I have to take care of it. And then I always say, like, well, if they smell something, they're probably not going to rent to me, right? Like, if I smell that bad. So, I just kind of went off of that. And I've actually met with my like landlord more than once and never even got reactions, which is crazy. I don't know why, but I never got reactions. So, yeah, I got approved and I'm in here. So
Hmm. Wow, very interesting. Do you feel that some people react to you more than others? Do you feel like for some people they can't detect it, but others they can, or at least maybe it's more tense, like they or the odor is more intense for others, I guess.
yeah, I do. I
Mm.
do. Some people react all the time. Some people every now and then. Some people not at all, and I'll never understand it.
Mm. Oof. So for the 10 years that you did have it, what would you say were the top three things that helped the most to reduce it?
At first it was doing seesaw flushes. That used to help a lot. Now so much, and then also I don't want to do it too much because that's when you drink like how much is it like 4 tablespoons of sea salt, and I'm just like I don't want to keep doing that because I don't want to like give myself like high blood pressure, so I don't feel like it's like that healthy to like drink that much salt water. But that would help, and then just avoiding alcohol and also drinking a smoothie. So my smoothie, I'll do psyllium husk. That's like pretty much like pure fiber. So I'll
Yeah.
do psyllium husk with a superfoods green powder with like some berries like raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, because they say that those are heavy in antioxidants and all that. So I'll do that. I might pour in a little pineapple juice because pineapple is supposed to like be like a detoxifier as well. I usually get pretty good results with pineapple. Usually seems to reduce the odor. Reactions aren't they're less frequent. So I usually will mix all that up in my smoothie, chug it down. If I do that like faithfully every day, it seems like not only if I'm going to the bathroom more because of the ceiling husk, but it seems like it reduces the odor a little bit. But I also have to do that on an empty stomach and kind of like fast. I kind of have to um drink my smoothie and then not eat anything for a couple hours after that to really let that get into my gut and clean it out. So that's made a little difference, but not to the point where it's like I have no odor, I have no reaction.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, I pretty much do the same thing, but I don't even. Well, I technically eat fruit, but within my smoothies, it's just pure vegetables and green stuff because chlorophyll in itself is used as some type of way to conceal, or I guess, yeah, I would say conceal your odor. Um, but I just, instead of just getting the chlorophyll, I just get all the dark greens and just drink that. And also intermittent fasting helps too. I don't know if you have ever tried, that sounds like intermittent fasting, where
Yeah,
you just take this one meal and then you stop eating for the rest of the day, or just a one meal a day type of situation.
yeah.
Um, so you said that you have been getting some positive results with kombucha and kefir. Have you ever taken any type of probiotic capsules? Do you
Yeah.
feel, and have you felt like there is a difference there? There is a definite difference between one or the other, between kefir, kombucha, or just the capsules in itself?
Well, I've taken kombucha way more than kefir. I've only tried kefir one time.
Mm,
But it's, as far as the probiotic capsules, yeah, I do take those every day along with the multivitamin and vitamin C as well. Um, but I I don't know if the probiotics. I can't say like for sure they like work.
right,
Take them because I mean that's my best bet right now. I mean, it can't
right.
hurt.
Yeah, it can't hurt. And I feel like it does help. I don't know how, I don't know when it helps. I feel like there's certain strands that help you more than others, but I don't know. Um, but you say, so basically the only times you usually go outside is when you have to go grocery shopping or taking your daughter to gymnastics.
Yeah. I mean, I walk outside if the weather permits, but yeah, as far as like mixing and mingling, hanging out with people, going out to a bar or events and such, not so much anymore, especially since my odor is not so transient anymore. Not so much. It's just
And
something it's not worth it.
and I want to also ask you, like within these 10 years, do you feel like your odor gotten worse or stayed the same?
In the
Um, yeah, no, well, from the first time you experienced people reacting to you and currently, do you feel like your odor has intensified? Like
I
it
feel
just got
like it's
worse?
gotten worse. I feel like it's gotten worse, because it was transient and now it's all the time. I do feel like it's gotten worse. Um, it used to be more so like I'd have that week that I'd have to take off, and not go anywhere, and then I was still able to like go out and live my life. But now it's definitely seemed like it's gotten worse.
Do you feel like it gets worse through age?
Yeah, yeah, it, yeah. Maybe age, maybe my hormones just giving birth.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Well, I'm trying to think of any other things I can ask you about because I think you answered many of them really quick. Um, I can't really think of anything else. So I'll ask the chat if there's anything else that you would like to know of Nita. Here's the time to ask them. But if it's a two kid, let me see if there's any questions here. Oh, okay. So one commenter wants to know if your underarms smell.
You know what? Like since I hit puberty, I had like hyperhidrosis. So, I would always be a heavy sweater. And when I was younger, I did those clinical deodorants and such. And even now, like if I get sweaty, sometimes the mustiness will break through the deodorant. So it's like I really have to stay on top of it. But as long as I stay on top of my hygiene, I can control my underarm smell. So yeah, yeah. I might have to, if it's summertime, I might have to, wash more, change my shirt a couple times a day. But yeah, it's nothing like the TMAU, whatever this is, odor. I never got complaints about like being musty or my underarm odor, but I do have like I since puberty have had hyperhidrosis.
I got another commenter asking about choline levels. So I guess what she's asking is, have you noticed your odor getting worse, or people reacting to you more when you eat foods that are higher in choline?
I haven't really noticed a difference.
Okay. Another comment is, does anybody in her family have this condition besides her?
No,
Another comment is, what type of deodorant do you use?
I use Lady Speed Stick. I use Lady Speed Stick when I'm like going out and about. But with me working from home, I actually use Smith's natural deodorant. So I can use that like at home if I don't plan on going anywhere that day. But it is more so like shower in the morning, Schmitz. Usually before I like go to bed, I'll shower again and put on the Schmitz. Because by the end of the day, it does wear off, especially when you having hyperhidrosis. But if I'm going out of my house or having company coming to my house, I'll put on I'll shower and put on Lady Speed.
I think it's very interesting that you also suffer from hyperhidrosis, because I do too. And yeah, deodorant's not really working. I mean, maybe it works every 6 hours or so, but then it just, then I start smelling the must.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm also having that problem as well.
I go through a lot of shirts because the sweat kind of gets stuck in your shirt, so the smell kind of gets stuck in your shirt. So I don't keep my shirts too long. And I exfoliate under my arms a lot. Um, and yeah, I just it's hyperhidrosis is another beast.
Yeah, it is.
Liquid deodorant, you know how they have Lady Speed Stick in like liquid form. I feel like that's better than the solid.
You said there's a deodorant in a liquid form.
Well, like the roll on. So
Oh,
when you put it on, it's like a liquid. It's like wet when you roll
okay.
on deodorant.
Like a,
Yeah,
or
seems better for me. When I get the Lady Speed Stick roll on and it's like, wet and then it dries, that seems to work better than the actual solid. But if I
because
just had
I'm,
hypothesis, I would be happy. I would have no complaint. I'd be
yeah,
just
because that's my thing. Like, people who have this TMAU stuff, I feel like TMAU times the hyperhidrosis makes it even 2 times worse, because you easily sweat, and that's the thing that's going to make it smell even more. I don't want to say more offensive, because some people don't sweat, but they might have TMAU. I guess it's going to take a while for that odor to come off their bodies and their pores. But when you have sweat, it just easily just hits you in
yeah.
the nose.
I just feel like with between halitosis, hyperhidrosis, and this TMAU or whatever this, it's just like I just someone that doesn't know you. They're just like they can just be like this breath smells. They smell musty sometimes, and they just have this unusual body odor just all around. Like they could just think that you're just the nastiest person with the worst hygiene in the world, because that hits all the points. It's like breath, underarms,
Right.
body in general. Like that just hits all the points. So it can be very depressing.
I want to go back to some of the or read some of the comments that are asking you questions. And she asked, another comment is asking, do you feel like the smell is coming from a specific area?
Yeah, it's vaginal. It seems like it's coming from the vagina.
And another comment is, what type of odor does she have? And does she have a YouTube channel?
I don't have a YouTube. Maybe now that I'm in review, I might start one. But no, I don't have.
And,
Did
oh,
I
yeah, go ahead.
did I miss part of that question? That last one?
Well, yeah, you just said, what type of odor does she have? And does she have a YouTube channel?
Okay.
But I wanted to say, going back to what you were saying about deodorants, a lot of people within this community always talk about Loom in a positive way. I don't know if you ever heard of Loom deodorant. Have you ever used Loom, and what is your take on it?
No, I haven't used it. I've watched reviews on it, and I just feel like with a lot of things, I'm like, this condition, whatever this is, so much more than Loom. I don't know if there's a product to help us unless it's internal. Like unless they come up with something that you can like ingest. that's something I would actually like more so be interested in. But like as far as like the hyperhidrosis, I mean, if it was there, I'd try it. But I feel like I pretty much have my hyperhidrosis for the most part under control. So I never was really interested in Loom.
Mhm. I do want to ask with the halitosis, since we didn't really talk about that much.
Mhm.
What do you try to do to get it under control, or I guess what is your typical
Had-
routine?
I always had such good dental hygiene because growing up I had like teeth. I mean, I still do, but I could use braces, but I always felt like my teeth were bad, so I always used to go above and beyond as far as like keeping them clean, and I always had people tell me how white my teeth were. So I floss, brush, rinse with mouthwash, well, floss, brush, tongue scrape, and then rinse with mouthwash. That's my hygiene routine. So, and then I use two different mouthwashes. So in the morning, I'll use Listerine, just your regular Listerine, and then at night I use the what's it called? It's not Dr. Bronner's. That's the soap. What is it called? The
Air breath.
yeah, TheraBreath. Yes, yes,
Oh,
TheraBreath.
I was right.
It kind of gives you dry mouth, so I use that at night. So that's my hygiene routine or hygiene routine.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I know a lot of these Listerine or mouthwashes have alcohol in it, and it dries your mouth. So I thought it was very interesting that you still use that, because I know a lot of people who are suffering from halitosis like avoid those types of products. Um, but yeah, if that's your routine, that's I forgot what. Well, yeah, a lot of people do talk about tongue scrapers too, because I'm trying to think of things people who are suffering from halitosis commonly use to try to reduce their halitosis. But going back to the comments, um, another commenter asked you, "What is her diet like?"
Um, pretty much just smooth. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes my diet is not that great. It's not that great. I try to cook at home most of the time. Avoid fast food as much as possible. Avoid sugary drinks. Avoid alcohol. But other than that, I just try to eat at least one salad a day. I'll do spinach with lettuce, tomato, cucumber, jalapenos 'cause I like jalapenos. Artichoke hearts. And a lot of times I'll use like olive oil instead of ranch dressing. And then I just, I kind of feel like if I cook at home, it's like, the best. I don't eat junk food. I don't eat any chocolate. I don't eat peanut butter because I realize peanut butter, also is just I get a lot of reactions after I consume peanut butter. Um, so no chocolate, no peanut butter, just no like none of your typical junk food, no little Debbie cakes, no candy. I pretty much avoid all of that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, when you talked about sugar, do you just mean like processed sugar? Do you feel that just fruit? Do you feel fruit also contributes to your odor too, or is it
Um,
just?
sugar, processed sugar. I'll still eat fruit. I'll still eat like fructose.
Hmm. Now, I gotta ask you, if there's anyone who feels like you. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, if there's anyone who feels that they have something similar to you, would it be okay that I put out your email so they might be able to contact you?
Yes, please email me. I hope there's someone like in my area, like Chicago area, Milwaukee area, that I can get up with, because I would like to have like a TMAU buddy and just be able to like see if we can like detect each other and like help each other out, or just
Awesome.
friends.
I'm putting on right now. Okay. And we're gonna wrap this up. So I do want to ask you, let's say there is somebody who does identify with a lot of things you're saying. Uh, what is any final thoughts or comments you have to say regarding this issue, or what would you like to say to that person?
Just keep hanging on. I know. I talked with I believe her name was Samaya a few times. It's just like just keep hanging on because I know sometimes we can feel pretty suicidal. We can feel like, what is our life even worth? What are we gonna make of it? Like, what can we actually do to have like a meaningful life? But we just gotta keep hanging on because there's other people out there that are going through it too, and especially if you have children, your children deserve to have you as a mom. They deserve to have their mom. They deserve to have their dad. They still do the world of you, so that's all that matters.
Awesome. And there's just one more question I want to go over, and it's from another comment, and she says, "How did she get her hyperhidrosis under control?"
Pretty much by exfoliating under my arms, keeping shapes under my arms. Like I said, I go through a lot of shirts, so I don't keep my shirts too long. And using liquid, I keep saying liquid, but roll-on deodorant seems to help me the most.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Nita, for stopping by and giving us your story. This is Friday night, TMAU PTM Halitosis, number 38, I believe. And we're out of here. See you guys later.
Thank you.